Jessica used to love coming down to the Ford, bringing her little sister along and coming out and showing the dogs. So obviously when she was really poorly, it was somewhere we could drive to.
Jess was born with cystic fibrosis, and over a number of years she got iller and iller, and in about, I think, 2014 she had a lung transplant.
We had 2 false calls, which both came in the early hours of the morning, and then we finally got the call at 4 a.m. on the October morning, the 9th. But that just made her want it more. I think it affirmed that she was doing the right thing, because when you're given the chance to do something and then it's snatched away, it really did hit her quite hard. So when we had the 3rd call and everything went through, it was just amazing, yeah.
As a clinician, how does it feel when you're at that point of being able to find a donor?
When I first became involved in organ donation, I thought I was quite au fait with the process. In fact, I didn't realise how hard it was to be part of that donation process, to make it happen. It was quite emotionally draining, and you saw families suffering, or you felt that they were suffering. I distinctly remember one occasion very early on where a family rang up afterwards wanting their loved one to have donated, but she had died the day before, and we couldn't do that. And the problem was nobody had thought to ask. We had let the family down, we had let the person down who had died. And that galvanised me, really. Sadly, these people would have died regardless, but because of their gift and because of our actions, a huge number of people and their families have got a second chance of life. Jessica Paddock was a young lady who I was aware of several years ago, and she was clearly a very bright, articulate young lady who had begun a new life after her lung transplant. Her transplanted lungs were rejecting her, and there was no other course of action we could take. She was dying.
Before that, she hadn't kind of made plans, because this is what you're doing, this is the life you've given, and you've just got to deal with it. Whereas now it's like, well, I could, what should I do next? It's a bit like I don't know, if you lose somebody suddenly, you always said, I'd like 5 more minutes. We were kind of given 4 years of, here's 4 years worth of 5 more minutes to go and do what you want to do.
She was just growing up. She was just turning into the most wonderful teenager. She'd got so many plans, but she was sensible. She knew that her lungs wouldn't last her forever. Jessica changed a lot of people's minds about organ donation. She became an ambassador for Live Life, Give Life, and she had her own website and following called The Girl That Coughs a Lot, because when she had CF she did cough a lot, and she had thousands and thousands of followers, and quite a lot of those followed her journey, and have gone on the donor list because of Jess, because they saw how it affected her.
I could see the heartache in her family. Jessica, however, was extraordinarily brave. She's somebody who I'll never ever forget.
Organ donation changed my life. My kidneys failed when I was at my 2nd term of university, and that meant I had to go on to dialysis, and it was really difficult to combine both study and dialysis several times a week. I was really fortunate to have a transplant some months later, which enabled me to finish my degree, to get my job as an electronics engineer here in Salisbury, and to have a really fulfilling life for the last 40 years. There's been a year-on-year increase in the number of transplants, and which is fantastic, but there has been a significant drop this year due to COVID. 1 person a day dies while waiting for a transplant. Under the new legislation that came in May in England, all adults will be considered to be an organ donor unless they register their wishes online. And this can be either that they wish to donate or they don't. But you still have a choice. You can change that wish any time, and also your family will be asked what they wish to do as far as organ donating. It's a difficult conversation to have, but please could families this week talk to each other about what they want to happen should the worst occur, because it just eases people's time at that very, very difficult moment. Organ donation changes people's lives. It truly is transformational. If you have any questions at all about it, whether your faith allows it or whether you've got other questions, there is a really good set of materials on the NHSBT website. Please remember to register your decision and tell your family what you have decided. This truly is a gift of life.